What's going on, everybody? My name is Corey, and in this video we're going to be discussing the SnapMap scraper. So the first thing we're going to want to do to get the SnapMap scraper working is we're actually going to go to their GitHub page. We're going to copy this GitHub link, not the link at the top of the page in the address bar, but rather the git clone link down here. From there, we're going to open up our terminal, and in our terminal we're going to type git clone and then that link that we copied. What that's going to do is that's going to copy all of these folders and these baseline requirements and paste them into a folder on our local machine. So if we type ls to list the current working directory, you can see that SnapMap scraper has been added. From here, we're going to cd into that new directory, and we're going to create a Python 3 environment to work out of. And the way that we're going to do that, we're going to type Python 3 tacm ve env env. We don't get any errors. If we type ls, we can verify that the environment folder has been created. I'm going to type clear, and from here we're going to now activate that environment by typing source env/bin/activate. Now we can verify that we are working within this Python environment because we have env over here on the left side. And the next thing that we're going to do is install the Python requirements. The way that we can do that is by typing pip3 install tacr requirements.txt. Now, I already have these Python requirements installed on my machine. For you, you might see small loading bars. Just make sure you let everything fully install. It should only take a few seconds, and it shouldn't create any duplicate requirements. So if you already have some of these requirements installed on your machine, it will not add extras. We're going to type clear to clean up our terminal. And from here, now we can start using the tool. Out of the box, the tool doesn't have any databases. However, you can create databases with the tool. And your databases are going to be where you actually store your locations. So the first thing that we're going to need to do is Python 3 storydownloader.py, and we're going to create a database. Let me extend my terminal window so it's a little bit easier to see. We're going to create a new database, and we're going to call this database demo.database, demo.db. Now, it's important when you're naming your databases to end them with a .db, just to make sure that everything works correctly. And we can see that this throws no errors, so we've successfully created the database. You can verify the existence of this database that you've just created by, once again, ls listing your directories. And now we can see that we have a demo.db here. From here, we need to add locations to this database. So to add a location to the database, we're going to call this script again, storydownloader.py. And we're going to type add tactac database. The database that we're adding to we call demo.db. And we're going to call this location, so label, and we'll call this location Tampa. And before we go any further, we actually have to tie grid coordinates to Tampa. The easiest way to do this is going to be to actually go into your browser and go to map.snapchat.com. This will pull up the interactive heat map of Snapchat's application, people who are posting to the heat map or have their location services turned on. And from here, you don't need any credentials. Anybody can log into this map through a browser. And we'll just zoom in on an area. In this case, we have Tampa. And as we zoom into an area, you can see it now provides us with grid coordinates. So the only part of these grid coordinates that we actually need are the 6-digit grid with the, just the grid coordinates. So we're going to take this, copy it, go back into our terminal. We're going to paste, and we do not want to keep this comma in here. So we're going to remove the comma and replace it with a space. So from here, we're saying, hey, we want to add a location to this database. This is with the label flag. We're saying we want it to be called this, in this case, Tampa. And then following that, we have the grid coordinates. We're not including this small portion here. We're not including commas, and we're not including the @ symbol. So from here, we can hit enter. And we can see that Tampa was added to the database. So now we have a database that has a location. What do we do next? Well, now we can actually initiate a scrape. The basic scrape command for this tool is python 3 storydownloader.py scrape tactac database, and our database was demo.db. And then we're going to add the randomize flag as well as the repeat flag. And we're going to run it. So now you can see no new media from location Tampa, sleeping for 120 seconds, and this is going to continue. Now, the fact that it's not finding any new information from Tampa, I find interesting, because by going in here and looking at these coordinates, we can see that there is, in fact, activity here. So what we can do is zoom in a little bit further and get a little bit more accurate with our coordinates if we want to. So we're going to go ahead and pause this, clear it, and we're going to use the up arrow to go through our history of commands and things we've already typed out, because I'm lazy and I don't want to retype all of this. And we're going to call this new location Tampa 2 in parentheses. And from here, we need to give it grid coordinates. So we'll grab these new updated coordinates. We will paste them in and remove the comma. Now we've added Tampa 2 to the database. Let's run that scan again, or that scrape, and see if we pull anything new. So it is currently doing a scrape for those 2 locations. And while we are waiting on this to bring us information, we'll go back into the map and we will grab coordinates for another location. Let's try Busch Gardens. All right, so it looks like from Tampa, we got 49 media from the location Tampa, and no new media from Tampa 2. So it looks like it did manage to pull some information from that first set of coordinates that we gave it. It's possible on the first go round it just glitched out. So I'm actually going to go ahead and cancel this. Now, this sleeping for 120 seconds, you can actually change this, but basically what this tool is doing is it's sending a request to SnapMap, and it's saying, hey, these are the grid coordinates, what data do you have? And then Snapchat is returning the data that it has for that area. Now, after that, if you have the repeat option set up here, the repeat flag for your scrape command, what that's going to do is say, okay, I want you to continuously run the scan. So that way you can leave this running, say, overnight to collect a massive amount of data. And it's going to send that request every 120 seconds to get an update. You can actually change how often it scrapes this information by giving the sleep command. So if we were to run the last command that we just used, and then we added tactac sleep, and let's say rather than scanning every 120 seconds, we want it to scan, we'll say every 30 seconds. And we could run it, let it scan. We can see we have 5 new media downloaded, and then now it's only going to sleep for 30 seconds. And it'll continue to do this until it collects more data, or until the 30 seconds is over, and then it collects more data, and it will do this indefinitely until you tell it to stop. So if you don't want to fill a folder on your desktop with a massive amount of data, it's important to remember that you have this tool running. And the way that you can stop this tool is by simply pressing the Control-C keys together. All right, so now we have some data that we pulled. Let's review it. There's two different ways that we can look at this data. The first way is to actually go through your File Explorer, go into SnapMap Scraper, which is the repo that we're in, go into the media folder, and you can see this is all the data that we have downloaded. And one of the really cool features of this tool is when information gets pulled down from SnapMap, it'll actually download the files as separate layers. So in this case, it looks like we had somebody post something and they had this sticker put on their page. This SnapMap Scraper will actually pull the information as separate layers. So if somebody was to use a sticker like this to, say, cover information that they didn't want somebody else to see, or that they necessarily wasn't intended for everybody to see, you would still be able to view whichever data or whatever data was behind that. So this is the first way that you can review this information. The other way that you can review this information is by actually utilizing the tool and using the command that's built in. And the way that you would do that is you would simply call the script with python3 storydownloader.py, and then we would type the review command. We'll give it the flag database to specify which database we want to review. And then the name of the database was demo.db. Whoops, I spelt that incorrectly. Let's try that again. Wow, I have a lot of typos there. Clear the terminal really quick. Let's try that again. All right, so what this is going to do is this is actually going to play a video in your media file for the first thing that was in your database. And you can actually see it's a little bit blurred up here, but this is what was behind that sticker. Or you can see that they had a sticker on here, and it was since removed because it downloaded in separate layers. So once you feel good about whatever you reviewed and you're ready to classify, you'll just exit out of this, and it's going to give you the option to classify it. So do we want to classify this, or do we want to leave it blank? In this case, we'll say doc, enter. Now it's going to open the next thing in our database. This looks like it's the same clip. Chances are they had this up with a filter on it. So we're going to go ahead and exit out of that. Call this one doc2. We have another one. You can see it looks like there's a sticker here. This sticker managed to stay. We'll call this one basketball. Another repeated. And you'll see it'll actually download this in multiple layers and multiple files. Damn, guy's got some muscles. Anyway, well, this one, muscles. Same thing. And as you can see, this is a way that you can go through and actually classify all of your data. And this will go through everything that you haven't classified. So if I was to Control-C out of this and then run the same command again, it's only going to go through data that I haven't already classified, things that don't already have a label to them. Going back into our folder, and there's so much data here. We can see this was able to pull quite a bit of information. So this concludes my my explanation of the SnapMap Scraper. Have a good one.